It sounds like this is some sort of a monitoring and or report functionality. So being able to integrate that information into your system. And I'm sure the other part of this is, leveraging these different pieces back to the CRM and the, kind of customer facing touch points, all in an effort to increase lifetime value, I'm sure.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our #1 priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. And if you are joining for the first time, this is part of our industry series for which we used to meet at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And today we are meeting at 5 p.m. Eastern, but this is going to move from the next week at 2 p.m. We are going to do this slightly earlier. So just stay tuned for the updates about that. Today, we have a very, very, very interesting vendor or the solution that we are going to review. It's called ServiceTitan. Super hot. So we are going to have a lot of fun discussing that. Before we do that, we are going to start with everybody's intros. I'm going to start with my quick intro. Sam Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent ERP and digital transformation consulting firm. On that note, Dave, can I ask you to introduce yourself next?
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me. Hey, everybody. My name is Dave Chrysler, and I own an operations consulting business, working with leaders, helping them to solve their productivity, quality, and inventory-related challenges, and to come to you with more than 25 years of various operational leadership roles, and included 1 or 2 system implementations along the way. So thanks for having me, Sam. Excited to this is our last show at this time, but excited to move this to the afternoon slot.
Yeah, you are amazing. Always love to collaborate with you.
Well, this will be right before, at 2 o'clock, it'll be right before the Carol Burnett show. That means we'll get the prime time.
Prime time. Prime time. That's going to be highest paid ad, I guess. We are going to be charging a lot.
And the audience probably doesn't even know who Carol Burnett is, so that's okay.
Do you want to explain?
That's really
Andy?
saying something,
I'm not
Andy.
going to explain.
You're not going to explain. You don't explain your jokes.
People that are over 70 that know that show, or 80 or something. I'm sorry, Sam. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Please introduce yourself if you don't mind.
I'm Andy Pratico. I'm the goofball in the crew. I could never ever offer as much insight as the 2 masters above me can. They're both incredibly experienced, and oh man, I'll tell you, I learned something new every one of these sessions. But just a little bit about me. I've been in the ERP business for manufacturers all my life. I help companies all over North America, manufacturers specifically, and I teach people how to uncover the truth about ERP software before they buy. So hopefully I help 1 or 2 folks out there before they end up being part of that horrible statistic we all read about.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And Andy is being super modest because I can barely keep up with his jokes and references. And, and he does not explain.
Well, you see, Sam,
he knows
what it
a
is. Well, I don't know about that, but I'll tell you what it is that for an ERP expert, I'm a pretty good stand-up comedian.
ERP jokes. I mean, we should probably have a LinkedIn feed with jokes.
I know. If I was doing stand-up and started telling all these stupid ERP jokes, no one would get them. So I have to use your soapbox to get a laugh once in a while.
This is the part I love most about this series. It never gets old, right, Andy?
Never gets old, my friend. Never gets old.
Okay, so let's start with briefing if you guys are okay. I mean, we'll have fun in between as well, but right now let's start with these guys. I mean, they are super hot. So we definitely want to give them the right attention that they deserve. Yeah. So ServiceTitan, very interesting offering. And I don't know where you would sort of put in overall in terms of the product positioning. That is something that we always touch on. Primarily, they are known as more of the field service app, SaaS app. But if you look at the flavors of the features and functionality and where they are really hanging out, you will see a lot more layers of things such as CRM, which you might not be able to recognize why Service Titan would be in that CRM category to begin with. Just to give you some more background, if you look at the major players in the field service space, that's obviously the enterprise grade is going to be somebody like IFS. Then you have Salesforce. So the major CRM vendors, whether you talk about Salesforce or Microsoft, they have a play in field service. And the reason why these companies have a play in field service is also considered to be sort of the customer touch point, because there are going to be a lot of customer workflows that are going to be touched from the field service perspective as well. Now, my ERP friends are going to argue, no. Okay, this is supposed to be an ERP workflow because you have a lot more that you do from the ERP perspective. So that's where the fine line is, I guess. There are going to be many things that are going to be relevant from the field service perspective, from CRM perspective in certain industries. An industry is the layer where there's a real play in terms of which industries are going to be slightly better fit for the CRM play for field service versus which ones are going to be better fit for ERP sort of play. So once we touch on the industries that these guys cover and the layers that go in that CRM, then you would sort of understand why they are such a massive hit in the industries that they are targeting.
Sam, I got a question.
Yeah.
Your comment about TMS, it says most companies contain POD capabilities.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the acronym POD as a screamo rock band that I saw once in Las Vegas. What does POD stand for?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't know how I'll be able to beat that, I guess. So this is an extremely boring acronym, I guess, from the ERP industry. It's called proof of delivery.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to tell you what the acronym means for that screamo rock band, though. I'm not going to tell you.
He's not going to tell us. I have to Google it.
You'll have to Google it. Yes, you will.
I'm Googling a lot now. I have ChatGPT as well.
Sam, say it again.
Proof of delivery.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'll give you some more context on POD, proof of delivery. And this POD is not the POD that Andy is talking about. He has a very special POD. In this case, this is going to be proof of delivery. And there are industries, there are different industries and they have a different play from the POD perspective as well. Okay. So for example, let's say if you look at the retail business model, DSD business model, in that the play for proof of delivery is going to be different. In general, you don't find a lot of grocery shops where you are going to get a real signature. If you are not familiar with the POD process, it is going to be when somebody delivers something at your home and you require some sort of signature. That is the process that is called POD. Now, you are not going to find this in plain vanilla grocery business. You will probably find this in electronics. You might find this in slightly more traditional industries. It could be HVAC, automotive suppliers. Sometimes they have that. And they have that because that's how they have operated. Dave, if you want to mention your line that you always say, I'm not going to steal your thunder here.
Which line is that?
This is the way we have always done it, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course. Yeah, it's synonymous with proof of delivery. But I mean, to your point, Sam, in some cases, because that is the way that they've kind of proven chain of custody for these things, it just naturally gets baked in. And I think, these guys are doing it right from that perspective. You see it across other industries, though, as well. We've touched on it with a couple other solutions. It used to be big in, like chemical manufacturing. The distribution side of that is often associated with proof of delivery. Paper manufacturing, same thing. You've got that merchant service layer that is doing the, kind of final mile, if you will. And, it's always worked based off of signatures.
Very interesting comment. So I was not aware of the chemical industry. So they do proof of delivery as well because of the testing requirement. I mean, I have seen that and what is that called? The certificate of conformance, compliance
So
I'm missing.
it can be a couple of things, but yeah, generally it's either there's a C of A, which is a certificate of assurance, I believe
Yeah,
it is.
you are right. Yep.
And then you've got what I always refer to as kind of just typical chain of custody.
Yep.
So depending on what it is, right, and if they need to ensure chain of custody across
Yep.
the supply chain ultimately for final delivery, then that's all
Yep.
part of that. But I've seen it quite a lot in that space, the kind of chemical manufacturer distribution model. It's kind of traditionally accepted that you have some sort of process flow to handle this stuff.
Yeah, no, love it. Great insights. Thank you so much, Dave. So going back to the POD comment, I guess depending upon the industry and how their processes are, where POD is going to reside is going to be dependent upon where your processes are interwoven. If your processes are interwoven from the CRM perspective, meaning that is part of your CPQ workflow, then most likely it is going to reside in your CRM workflow. If you have this more from the timesheet management perspective, that's where it resides inside your ERP workflow. Now, CMS could have a play as well when you are dealing with your external supply chain. The moment you are going to ship your good, it could reside inside your CMS system as well. And that's why we have seen this all over the place. Okay, in terms of ERPs, where you are going to find this, the POD flavor, I guess it's going to be ERP systems such as Epicor, Eclipse. It's also going to be with a lot of systems that ECi has, and that's where I guess, I mean, if you look at the disruption, which markets are they really disrupting? They are disrupting Epicor's and ECi's market. They are, and now when you talk about companies like Advantive, and I don't know who's disrupting whose market, because Advantive is created in 2022. So, I mean, that's a very interesting company overall from the solution authoring perspective. They are trying to acquire a lot of legacy technology. It's a very similar play as your Aptean in for slightly more legacy companies. Sometimes they rewrite the entire architecture, sometimes they don't. Sometimes the only thing they are rewriting is GTM and marketing playbook. That's it. So in this particular case, you have really cool kit, which is called ServiceTitan, which is going to be pure play SaaS. Amazing technology, but obviously they are not ERP, just to be clear. So some more background here. So overall, I guess, I mean, CRM systems does not have sufficient capabilities for field service. That has always been a problem. Even if you look at enterprise grade systems such as your Microsoft or Salesforce, the field service is very disconnected experience in general there, even today.
Really? I'd always heard those two were pretty good at field.
Pretty good is probably pretty vague as well, okay. Right?
Yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah. No, that's okay. I've always heard good things, is what I'm saying, about Salesforce and Dynamics 365 in regards to field service. But I mean, of all those ones you have on your list, IFS is, they're phenomenal.
They are mind blowing overall from the enterprise workflows perspective. When you are going to have, let's say, if you're trying to create the automated schedule of 50,000 technicians that are going to be in the field, that's where the real rocket science is.
Don't even go farther. That's the one to go with. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. We are, utilizing all of this map data, doing this automated routing. It gets crazy, in the enterprise workflow. These systems are very SMB centric. They are not doing those enterprise planning workloads, even though they might offer transactional capability. There's a difference between the real automated planning versus the basic transactions. So some more background here. So I think we have already touched on this point, architectural fragmentation on the roles and responsibilities for field service between TMS versus ERP versus CRM. So I don't have anything else to add there. We have touched on the competing technologies from the ERP perspective. These are some of the vendors: IFS, Epicor, ECi. From CRM perspective, we have Salesforce, Microsoft, Dynamics, 365. There are a lot of different TMS systems, and I don't know, I mean, maybe you guys can help me. Which systems we saw POD capabilities? I remember Kerber, I think they had. HighJump had, if I remember. Who else had? Most of the enterprise players they are going to have. Your E2 Opens of the world, Blue Yonders of the world. Who else am I missing? Manhattan, they are in retail space. There is a strong chance they might have it, but they are in the retail grocery space. Apparel space, you don't have POD play. There is a chance that they might not have. Okay, So the other technologies that we are going to review that we have not reviewed so far is going to be ServiceMax. ServiceMax is another one. It's not as big as ServiceTitan. ServiceTitan is probably one of the hottest SaaS right now. The valuation that they have is just mind blowing. Okay, so we are getting some feedback here that some viewers are not able to see it. I don't know why they are not able to. I think we are live, right, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, so Richard, and I don't know if you can hear, and I don't know if you guys are able to comment. Maybe just comment for him if he can move to YouTube. Sometimes they are able to see there. If anybody can do that, I guess. Thank you so much, Rajat, for joining. He is saying, welcome, Titans. Honored by that comment. Testing phase of a new grocery chemical industry delivery process within the app. Testing phase. I don't know how to read this, to be completely honest. I don't know if anybody's going to help me here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah. Okay, Roger, so if you are still online, maybe if you want to provide some more colors there to your comment, and I don't even know if that is a question, that is a comment, please provide that and we'll be more than happy to help you. And Richard, thank you so much for joining.
I'm not seeing anything. This fellow's not seeing anything either.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what's going on.
Yeah, not sure what's happening. It looks like everything. I mean, I jumped on to LinkedIn and it's showing live for me.
Yeah, and Richard, I don't know if you're able to hear us. Try YouTube. Typically, that is slightly more reliable than LinkedIn. And if you're able to hear us, the best way of accessing the session is going to be to go to my personal profile and see it there. Sometimes the links don't work. That is probably the easiest. I mean, that's how LinkedIn works because it is displaying on my personal profile. Again, thank you so much for joining. Hopefully, you are able to watch it. Okay, so some more comments here, guys. I'll keep moving unless you guys have any other comments here. Some more context, industries, and we were talking about industries. So here, the industries that are going to be relevant from their perspective. And one of the things that you are going to notice, most of these industries are, I would use the term that investors typically use. It's called underserved, which is true as well. Okay, so they are most certainly underserved, but they are also underserved because they never wanted technology and they never had appetite to spend. So obviously, if this is working, that means they are doing something good, that these companies are able to use the technology. So phenomenal job. Electrical, very, very, very legacy industry. HVAC, super legacy. Plumbing, my goodness, super legacy industries. Dave, you have a comment.
No, I think the other interesting part about, these kind of specific verticals, at least what I'm seeing, in the kind of general marketplace, is that these verticals are starting to get consolidated via PE. So it's interesting to see the connection potentially of a bit more mature from a process and technology standpoint and, the counterpoint of some of these businesses being rolled up because, as that continues to grow, obviously they're going to move from something like this into, more of a traditional ERP infrastructure, whether existing or, new implementation. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how all of this plays out because in those spaces today, this is by far, to your point, Sam, this is by far the number one solution that I'm hearing getting thrown around there.
Yeah, could not agree more. So Dave, there are layers here, and I was actually looking for the guy that I really know in the electrical space. David Gordon is the name. Okay, so David Gordon, he does a lot of work in the electrical and HVAC space. By the way, guys, if you don't follow him, follow him. Super knowledgeable, super credible in that industry. He runs a lot of different, publications, and he's very, very well known. So I was talking to him just to, pick his brain a little bit in terms of where this industry is. So he was telling two layers. Number one is the industry is definitely getting consolidated. You are absolutely spot on, Dave. But at the same time, there are also a lot of moments which will never get consolidated because that's who they are. They don't want to be consolidated. Okay, so the industry is very legacy mindset, legacy processes, and that's why systems like Epicor, Eclipse, they are able to survive even today. Even though,
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a reason. I think we have covered this in our Epicor Eclipse session. There are some very unique layers why Epicor Eclipse works, and I have personally interviewed a lot of Epicor Eclipse users, and I was talking to them. Okay, why would he not switch to something newer, I guess. And they were like, no,
No,
it doesn't
it
work.
works.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And they are right. They are right. There are very unique layers in that industry that your vanilla ERP will not be able to meet. And that's why the system is so hard. The industry is so different, and why we have so unique systems in this place, and why we have so much fragmentation, because industry is not willing to change. Nobody can change that. So Dave, just that comment. I don't know if you have any follow-ups there.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think all really good comments. It's it will be interesting to see if ultimately if these guys kind of stay in their lane, because I think if they do, and they've done an amazing job of that so far, but I think as we go up one layer to see what some of that macro landscape looks like, it gets very interesting and attractive to these companies to try to capture additional market share. And I think this is a great example of knowing who you serve, building products that support that, understanding where the industries are, what's happening from that, to your point, Sam, the kind of fragmented, marketplace. And so it'll be fascinating for me to see how all of that continues to play forward, and see if they continue to own this or if they start to expand, because I think it gets watered down if they do things like that.
Yeah, so we definitely have some more layers, and we'll be able to analyze that on some of the slides that we have. So that's going to be fun.
What size of company do you think the ServiceTitan to be targeted at, Sam? Do you know?
Yeah, so right now, I mean, this is really designed for companies that didn't have any sort of technology. So most likely in the QuickBooks ecosystem for the most part.
Okay.
If you look at the integration, and we have that in some of our slides as well, they are really hot in the Sage Intacct. And the reason why they are so hot is because Sage Intacct does not necessarily have the ERP.
Right.
Now, do you need ERP capabilities in this industry is going to be a question. Now, and what is an ERP is also going to be a question, I guess. So Sage Intacct takes a very different approach in these verticals, the way they are working, because these industries are very different. They don't necessarily care for your inventory. They don't care for your unit costing. When they might be PE owned, there is a possibility that they might care for job costing, but for the most part, what they really care for is the quoting process, the estimation process.
Right.
Let me get the job done. Let me make sure my customers are happy, and let me not worry about accounting. I know very smart people who can figure this out.
It's back to the point, though, of where this comes together between what you would typically see from an architecture perspective.
Yeah.
And how those things come together in a solution that, I hate to tell you, you guys cover your ears for this one, but, in that market space, in that SMB space, right, they're calling this an ERP,
I know.
And we know that, Dave.
We know.
All you had to do is be on our LinkedIn ping pong match yesterday between Sam and myself.
Yeah, I missed all the fun.
You know well about that.
I missed all the fun.
You missed all the fun. Yeah.
It's wild, wild west. That's what is the ERP industry.
Sam, that's what we should have put on that post on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It is the wild, wild west.
Next time I'm going to try, man. I cannot keep up with these things. I guess I cannot remember.
That's exactly right. If I go back to that post, I might put that on there. This is the wild, wild west, folks.
Yep. Exactly. All right. So I'll keep moving here. So obviously, I mean, I have already touched that this is probably one of the hottest. Any vertical SaaS offering in the history of software has not received this kind of valuation. And the reason why they are receiving this kind of valuation is not because of the TAM. That is another word that I'm going to use that my friends investors would use. In this particular case, this is so different market that you have so much friction that you don't need TAM for this. And that's why they are getting so much valuation in general.
Mean? Sorry.
Total addressable market.
Say that again.
Total addressable market.
Oh, okay. So that's why you're calling it TAM. That makes total sense.
This is all investors. I mean, this is the thing that they always talk about.
Gotcha.
This is how they invest in these companies for the most part. Okay. So All right, so I'll keep moving unless you guys have any other comments. So I think we have already touched on these things. So Dave, I don't know whether you are able to notice this. They are super hot in two spaces. Number one, QuickBooks. Number two, Interact. That's where their real play is. If you look at the kind of features that they are able to support, they have dispatching, scheduling, call booking, marketing. Can you believe that? Okay, now you would not expect marketing here, but that's where your CRM play is. Most people don't understand how these operational processes are going to be intertwined with your marketing, but you will see the flavors how different this industry is, and that's why the CRM play is really okay. Now we have mobile, we have financing. Financing is very interesting as well. Okay, so now you have payment play. That's going to be a little bit of POS play. So they have integration with payment provider. By the way, they have a payment offering just like Shopify. Can you believe that? And that is what creates the real friction. When you talk about system, a system, when it is going to be just the technical system, it's not as powerful. When you are processing somebody's transaction, when you have that payment layer, just like Shopify does, that's what makes it powerful, because you are making a cut from every single transaction. Investors love that. So that's where the real play is, and that's why this is so hard. Then you have the customer experience factor. Now we have the industries, as we have already discussed: HVAC, plumbing, electrical, garage door, chimney sweep. I've never heard of that. I don't know what that is.
It's amazing, eh?
What is that? Chimney sweep. My understanding. So okay, so they are really in that residential sector. So it's really going to be
Service.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, you are replacing your chimney. That would be my understanding.
No, it's cleaning the chimney.
Yeah, you got to clean them.
Oh, clean. Okay,
Good
got
out.
it. So sweep means clean? Oh, sweep.
Yeah.
Yes,
Have you ever seen the movie Mary Poppins?
No.
Okay, well, you got to watch that movie with your kid.
Right after this episode, I'm telling
And
you.
there are chimney
Yeah, there
sweeps.
you go.
You'll see.
Okay, so chimney sweep. Okay, got it. Okay, so you are literally sweeping, and that's where I guess janitorial is.
Exactly, on the inside of the chimney.
Got it. Okay, got it. I'm learning something. Water treatment, obviously, fascinating industry. Landscape, again, residential services, pool service, septic, pest control, lawn care, roofing. Again, everything is in that residential service market. From the integration perspective, I guess, we have already touched on QuickBooks as well as Sage Intacct. Then you have things such as your GPS, which is a very interesting integration. And the text reads here as control your vehicles and assets and run your business without blind spots. I don't know what that means. Maybe Dave can tell me that. But that's a marketing speak.
Well, it's a component. It's a component of the dispatch and scheduling modules within this. So I don't know if it's a bolt-on or if it's an integrated piece, at least based on what I know to be true about what they're doing with.
Yeah, so this is where they're going to get the real GPS data, because you would need GPS data for your dispatching. That's the integration. Obviously here they are saying control your vehicles. So my understanding is going to be that that's the fleet management integration. And fleet management in general, especially if you are going to own, even if you are going to be in spaces such as your food and bath. Okay, if you have a very complex product that you are trying to deliver and you don't know, you don't have MOQs, and Andy, for your reference, that is the minimum order quantity. And if you cannot find a 3PL that is going to be delivering for you, because again, you have very unique delivery requirements, that's where you need to own your fleets. And if you are going to own your fleets, it's very hard to find an ERP system that can do your fleet level planning. And that's where systems such as when you look at DCOM, they have the route planning, route accounting as part of their ERP system. But here, obviously, fleet management is probably going to be external add-on.
But it's all the same though, Sam. It's that granular detail. And I would say most of these home service businesses are going to take the HVAC, they're going to have a fleet of, maybe a $10 million shop's going to have a fleet of 5 vans or something like that they want to go ahead and schedule and dispatch and have visibility over where they're at from a route perspective. So, but it's interesting to see. Again, I'm not sure if it's like a bolt-on, what we would classify as kind of a bolt-on, or if it's something that's integrated into it. I don't have enough experience to answer that.
Yeah. So this is definitely bolt-on. This is coming from the integration page from their website. So this is definitely bolt-on. But the challenge that you're going to run into, for example, let's say if you go to SAP and you ask them, hey, I have a fleet and this is my business. Can I do my fleet management inside SAP? Terrible idea. Don't do that. So that's where you need something like this, because this is really designed for that. SAP is probably going to rely on add-on as well. The things that SAP is going to have, probably you don't care for those. The things that are going to come with this, that's going to be the real maintenance, the real, what is that, the management of fleet, and the preventive maintenance, I guess, warranty, insurance, all of these workflows are very different.
Yeah, yeah. And I wouldn't see this as a solution for that. I think that would very much live outside of anything like this. Again, at least what I've seen from like a fleet maintenance perspective, or ongoing service maintenance perspective, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure they are going to have a lot of integrations based on what I have seen on their site, that you can do all of this. After combining all of these add-ons, they are going to manage the operation workflow. They are not necessarily going to care about the transactional integrity, just because the data model is going to be slightly fluid because there's a SaaS app. So different offering, I guess. But in this particular case, what they really care for is easy integration. And the only way to do this easy integration is going to be when you are going to lose things from the data integrity perspective. The only way to make any platform easy is going to be, hey, cut down on modeling, cut down on different business rules layers that generally ERP systems contain, because that requires a lot of implementation firepower that smaller businesses cannot handle. And this makes it far easier, even though you are going to have far more data integrity issues because you don't have data integrity enforced at the data model level. So different problems, but that's okay because the system is going to be slightly more forgiving. The right comparison overall from the technology perspective is probably going to be HubSpot. HubSpot does very similar things. So for example, let's say if you try to utilize HubSpot in these industries, it might not work. So that's where this is really powerful, because they are able to do everything that HubSpot does. In addition to that, they are doing a lot more. I'll move on if you guys don't have any other comments. So some more integration. And again, this is coming from their integration page, just for your awareness, guys. So here we have some more integrations, such as your HR payroll. You have HCM trade seal. You have, what is that, IE payroll. So a lot of things. I'll give you some visibility in terms of what they are. So for the most part, you are going to have a lot of play related to your union payroll, as well as constraints and compliance management. That's a very heavy lift in these industries. If you are going to have union workers, and typically those processes need to be interwoven with your operational processes as well as financial processes. So that's where the payroll is going to be very different. Your vanilla payroll is probably not going to work in this industry. Then you get into some very, very, very interesting things. Okay, so this is very operational thing, very finance, payroll. Now you get into marketing. So you have leads and bookings. Can you believe this? And this is the real channel integration play. The plays that you are going to see with technologies such as ChannelAdvisor. ChannelAdvisor integrates with a lot of channels. They can manage your marketing content. They can manage your marketing workflows. They can do reconciliation of your financial statements, sometimes depending upon how capable these channel marketing platforms are going to be. But these are very new use cases as you are expanding channels. For example, let's say if Home Depot is going to give you a lot of business, in general, the way traditional businesses approach this is they will require a lot of EDI firepower. Okay, so your what you could do is you might go to somebody like SPS Commerce, and they might be able to process all of your transactions, but you are never going to get the same experience that you are going to get with these guys. Number one, more from the marketing management perspective, EDI could not do marketing content management. EDI could only do the operational transactions as well as financial transactions, maybe. That's what EDI could do. EDI was never designed for marketing centric workflows, so it was sort of half the equation. Businesses never got the real tangible benefit. So that's where these guys just play, is they are providing all of these integrations out of the box, which is a humongous value for these businesses, especially if you go to Home Depot, they are going to push you that you have to use this. And that's what is happening. A lot of big humongous ecosystems, they are pushing their vendors, you have to use or I'm not going to work, because it's a much heavier lift for these companies when they are going to work with companies that are going to be manually operated. So that's the driver that is happening. If you guys don't have any other comments, I'll keep moving. Yeah. Okay, so some more integrations. So we have, integrations such as your live services, and live services is a very interesting concept as well. So here now you are looking at the real call center play, and you do have a lot of call center people in these industries. Sometimes they are simply selling, sometimes they are doing lead gen, sometimes they are doing customer service, but the call center department is very heavy. They generally don't care for unit costing. Financial workflows, they have zero interest in all of that. From their perspective, the only thing that they care for is that they should be able to close deals. They should be able to serve the customers. That's what they care for. So that's what these guys are providing. So that's where the whole CRM workflow is. And the kind of integration that this system is providing, I don't think you are going to find even with any other CRM systems, even though they are going to be very capable. For example, HubSpot or Salesforce, you are not going to find as integrated experience with them that is going to be tailored for these industries. Some more marketing, ad management. Can you believe this? Ad management, crazy. Why would you do ad management here? Again, this is the very ChannelAdvisor centric workflow. And that's where they are able to do a lot. Okay, a lot does not mean ERP, guys, by the way. Okay, yes, they are able to do a lot, but that's not ERP, just to be clear.
I think you really nailed it, Sam, in terms of the difference, between not just the ability to do a lot, and how that breaks out, but it's the ability to look at process flows from outside of the specific vertical or industry, and that's the appeal, the flexibility, the layers behind, like to your point about inventory, because I happened to catch something when I was doing some research on this, but the layers and the complexity that you can build into, let's say, a function like inventory and procurement in a solution like this is significantly different than what can be built in most, even low level, fully, kind of full blown ERP systems. So that to me is the big difference. Not so much the do a lot, do a little. It's that, and you touched on it, but it's the layers of complexity that you can build in from a process flow standpoint. That's the real differentiator.
I'll touch just on one minor point there. And when you say flexibility, it could mean a lot of different things, to be completely honest. Okay, so when you look at the process flexibility, I guess, you might get from this system, but you have to have very focused business model. If your business model is all over the place, you are probably going to find a lot of challenges. So if you are a pure play janitorial shop, this is probably the best system overall from the CRM perspective, field service perspective. But let's say if you are janitorial and for some reason you are doing construction, good luck with it. It's not going to work. Okay, so I'll keep moving unless you guys have any other comment. So, okay, so some more integrations, very, very interesting that I don't think I've seen anywhere else. So they have something called Air Advice, and this is very operational integration. And Dave, you might be familiar with this. So here they are doing bring indoor air quality IAQ awareness to the table on every call. Now, this is a very operational data integration. And obviously, because of that, you are going to have some inputs that you are getting. I don't know whether that is going to be part of your CPQ process. It's going to be part of your job process, but there is an input related to this. Now, implementing that in a vanilla system could be very hard. So that's a very, very, very interesting integration that I don't think I have seen in ERP-centric processes. Then they have AI-powered remote diagnostic technology solutions for the trades. Again, very interesting operational integration. And we know that the operational aspect was always very underserved. The technologies were not there at all. Okay, finance department, they always had accounting software, but my operations folks, Dave knows this, that they did not have as much technology. Typically, they operated on a spreadsheets. So now they are getting the real firepower with this. They have some more iManifold, and it's called import iManifold reports into a job easily and in real time. I don't know what that does, to be completely honest. I don't know if you have come across that. So that's go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just going to add, I've not come across that specifically either. It looks like it's something specific in HVAC
Yep.
systems.
Yeah, and
Interesting.
this is where I guess the Eclipse was very, very, very interesting software because it did include a lot of these integrations, which is literally bread and butter for these industries. If you don't have those, it's going to be really hard lift to be able to use the software, even if you are going to have fancy cost accounting. Who cares?
Yeah, it looks like to your point about from an operations integration standpoint, it looks like just on a quick look here, as obviously the technology advances,
Yeah,
even for our own HVAC systems, and they
yeah,
become more efficient and electronic.
yeah,
It sounds like this is some sort of a monitoring and or report functionality. So being able to integrate that information, into your system. And I'm sure the other part of this is, leveraging these different pieces back to the CRM and the, kind of customer facing touch points, all in an effort to increase lifetime value, I'm sure.
you nailed it. I mean, this is a real sales play for
Yeah.
these device manufacturers. That's why this is super hot. Okay, they are able to sell air conditions. Can you believe this? That was the hardest sale you can. Right? Andy will pull it off like this, okay, but not for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what they are enabling. That's a big deal. So then we have the payments, and they have a lot of payments integration as well. There's the same payment play that Shopify has. They are able to do financing. Can you believe this? And financing as part of the HVAC that you are selling, which makes it really interesting because the finance people, they were not able to sell. So now they are able to sell financing, they are able to sell air conditioning. That's what makes it so powerful. Permitting is very interesting as well. You have a lot of workflows related to permitting in this particular space. You are going to find a lot of operational touch points related to permitting because that's what they do. They are doing audit, they are doing certifications. All of those is going to be super critical. Cost accounting is not as cool, Dave, in this space.
Well, I think though, to your point earlier, when you mentioned it, in terms of, again, back to the business model and what are we really looking at to understand,
Yeah.
Standard cost accounting, not real high on the list here, as compared to, what we would say a traditional manufacturing facility and the value that those things bring. It's a different project, if you
Yep.
will. This
Yep.
business, what they're selling is
Yep.
different than, what we would typically expect to manufacture.
Could not agree more. Go ahead,
Cost
Andy.
accounting and the adjective cool are really oxy.
Well, not in my world, Andy.
No, it's true. You think they're totally exciting. I know, Dave.
Yeah. Yes. You should have been on a call I was on earlier talking about data infrastructure. You would
I would have
have
had to
loved
bite
it.
my tongue, I'm sure.
Sam, I didn't happen to see, but I'm curious if you came across it. One thing I didn't see, and again, maybe I just missed it, but I would expect to see in an offering like this is any sort of warranty related, work or workflow. Like I would either expect it from one of
You
two
mean like
places or
preventive
both, right?
maintenance, maybe more than
Handling
warranty.
warranty work or selling warranties, just like selling the financing. I would expect that would be a part of this, but I didn't happen to see it. I just wonder if I missed it.
Like you mean PM contracts. Is that what you mean, Dave?
Yeah. Or I think
Standard
about it
warranty
like
with the sale, but after that, it's PM contracts.
exactly. Think about it like a extended warranty for your car,
Exactly.
right? Same type of thought process. But I didn't see anything operationally related to handling those types of orders, if you will, or the actual selling of that product. So I was just curious if either one of you came across that in your research.
I didn't see that, to be completely honest. Okay, but I see your point that is going to be super critical in this space, and I'm pretty sure either they have add-on or built-in, and probably that's not the most highlighted offering. That's why we are not seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious. Like I said, I'm sure it's a part of this. I just didn't specifically see it called out anywhere, so I was just curious.
Maybe it's assumed.
Could be. Could be.
All right, guys, so I'll keep moving. So some more commentary from their news, and we are going back 2015, how they started. They started in 2015. So ServiceTitan, mobile cloud-based management platform for home services businesses, today announced $18 million Series A funding round led by Bessemer Venture Partners, I guess, at $100 million valuation. Can you believe this? Successful home services companies Sorry, Dave, you have a joke or something?
No, they just, I mean,
Just
they won
smiling.
the lottery on this one.
Yeah,
I mean, some
no, but I
people
mean,
in 2015, I would say would have been looking at them sideways, and now they're looking, like they were telling the future. So,
I mean, this is definitely real deal. I guarantee this. I mean, I think I was attending a lot of pitch competition back in 2015 when people were trying to pitch that they were trying to create something like this. And by that time, I guess they already had $100 million valuation. So you can imagine. I mean, a lot of people were trying to do this, but these guys did it. So there is a difference. So here they are talking about residential home service companies in the HVAC, plumbing, electrical industries. We already covered all of that. Modern software. Yep. So they are in some of the organizations, such as, and there are going to be a lot of franchise-based businesses. They are going to be home-based. So the example of businesses are going to be Mr. Rooster, Mr. Electric, and what is that? AirServe, I guess, is another one. As well as best practice organization, Nexstar, they are humongous. QSC, Service Nation Alliance, again, these are very franchise-centric businesses. They are very, very, very home service-centric business. Service Roundtable businesses. ServiceTitan's end-to-end solution includes CRM. They are defining their category. Guys, pay attention. Intelligent dispatch features, integrated marketing analytics. Can you believe this? And comprehensive reporting. That's how they started. They started as CRM. Yeah. And this is definitely, in my mind, I think this is truly a CRM play, even though they are covering a lot of ERP processes, but it's really a CRM play. Most of the technologies that are super hot at this point of time, the CRM market is being disrupted because it was not covered, to be completely honest. Even if you had Salesforces of the world, it was a very heavy lift for these companies to be something like Salesforce. So now we are looking at 2015. They are seeing the groundbreaking new technology in ServiceTitan's custom forms, feature gifts, and this is the workflow automation piece that we are speaking all the time. Now they have it baked in 2015. They were not talking about workflow automation, but this is a very Monday.com play. This is going to be your Boomi Flow play. This is going to be your ServiceNow play. That's what they are trying to do, because you have these custom forms in these industries where you are going to have a lot of interaction, a lot of feedback from the compliance perspective, customer collaboration, customer interaction. That's why you need all of these. So they had all of these built in along with the compliance as well as the industry processes that you are going to need. Now your Monday.com service, now they are going to do all of this, but you have no idea how much heavy lift that is going to be for you. So if you are pure play janitorial business, this is where the real power is. Variety of forms that can help their businesses with compliance issues and drastically cut down the development time typically associated with paper-based processing. But that could mean a lot of different things. In this particular case, this is really the whole collaboration piece. That's what they are trying to automate for residential plumbing, electrical, and HVAC contractors. Now they are saying home service businesses can now create the forms that they need right in their office and transmit them digitally to their technicians in the field. You need real forms that need to go. Sometimes that is going to be part of your compliance process. Sometimes that's going to be part of your submission process. So you need all of those real physical forms that are going to be signed, that are going to be transmitted. Very different workflow than your core operational financial transactional workflow. This is going to be, for example, inspection forms. Can you believe? Inspection forms traditionally, Dave, I'm pretty sure you sort of know this, right? I mean, this big paper bundle that you have to carry, I guess, to homes, and that's how you did inspection. So that's what they are trying to automate. Big deal, guys.
Yeah. And it's high value from an end user perspective. So that is that's the bonus. you get obviously all of the efficiencies gained and waste reduced, but you've got that bump from an end user perspective. That this is this is a real especially in that mom and pop world, right? Oh, this is a real business. They've got this level of sophistication when it comes to these things. So
customer experience play. That's where the money is, and that's why they are pouring in money in this.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, some more coverage here. So we are in 2017 right now. ServiceTitan, the #1 enterprise software for residential contractors. And I mean, I would not mind. I mean, if they claim #1, they are #1. They really are #1. So definitely, they deserve it. Brand names like Green Sky, Nexstar Network, the new flat rate and TomTom. These are some of the brands that they have used. ServiceTitan is the preferred software for franchise systems. Can you believe? So every single distributor in their network is probably going to use it. It's promoted by private equity. Then they are very, very, very good at it. So this is going to be Mr. Rooster, Mr. Electric, AirServe, as well as the best practice organizations such as your Nexstar Networks, QSC. Businesses of any size can effortlessly measure revenue by job. Now, it's going to be a question. You would not be able to do this. Okay, this is a marketing speak, guys. Okay, you will not be able to do this. Okay, so there are going to be layers to it. Okay, you are never going to get the real. You know what? Revenue may be possible. Cost,
yeah, you'll be able to measure the revenue, like you say, because it's what you're receiving from that client on a monthly or whatever basis, and your costs are going to be direct costs. But
it's going to be estimation. Now we don't know how off that is going to be, right, Dave? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly I think the best way to put this is that there are many layers that come together. If you want a extremely accurate picture, I do agree with you, Sam. This is going to be a stretch to give you an extremely accurate picture. Will you get a real good picture based on how your business model operates today? Yes. In these businesses, this is the gold standard. When we compare something like this with our experiences in the industries, with the level of details and complexity that we've seen, that's why we say what we say. So I think that's the best way to say it. There's varying layers of complexity when we talk about specifically cost, but revenue is certainly a bit easier. But an accurate picture does require additional layers of detail.
So I'll bet their sales demo looks perfect.
Well, you can see part of it on their website.
So, Dave, I have been doing a lot of reflection on this particular point. I think you have a great point, and I want to do a little back and forth here on this conversation. So let's say if you look at retail industry never cared for cost accounting. They never had an ERP play. ERP for them just meant financial reporting, just the macro perspective. Okay, because when you are processing a transaction that is going to cost $5, who cares what the cost is? To be completely honest, okay, $10. I don't know if it matters. $50? I'm not too sure. Now let's talk about $1,000. Does it matter? Probably. So I don't know where the inflection point is to be. Okay. When you look at the core distribution play, distributors do care for costing because they are not going to process an order unless it's going to be $1,000 at least. That's how their business model is. So in your experience, do you know where that sweet spot is? Where, let's say, you as the operations guy, where do you sort of draw the line?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all answer. I'll tell you something that I really struggled with from that perspective is when you learn the value and power of cost accounting at that level of detail, even when you're doing $10 transactions, you're driven to understand what the real cost of. And so it's a real struggle when you see the value to unsee it. And therefore, you're always pushing to get to that point. Now, all of that said, we all know that there is a real cost associated with going down that path, both from a higher level resource perspective, right? Like we're talking about one platform versus a completely different platform, different cost structure for that platform, support, all of it. So there is a real consideration there, and there does need to be a line. I think if, I was hard pressed to put a line in, I think it'd be less than $1,000 if it's me and it's my decision. I think it'd probably be somewhere in the $300 to $500 range. I would say, depending on what that volume is and what those transactions are, because, very infrequent transactions of that probably, meaningless. Lots of transactions like that, you're going to win and lose based on pennies, and pennies at that point are going to make a big difference over the course of tens of thousands of transactions.
Yeah, and I'm in violent agreement with that statement, to be completely honest. Okay, I think 300 to 500 is probably the right inflection point. And you mentioned one thing that I want to hit on. There are 3 layers, okay, and these are really opposing forces. So number one, you mentioned the cost of transaction. Okay, the cost of transaction, and what was the other one? I guess cost of transaction, but the speed of transaction, I guess that matters a lot as well.
Yeah, volume.
Okay? Speed, not volume. Speed matters. The reason for that is because if you are going to join all of these tables underneath to be able to compute your cost, okay, you are never going to be able to deliver as fast. So that's why speed matters, okay, for retail-centric transactions. That's why they have to compromise on the cost accounting. So that's where my problem is. I guess you are right that, under $300, $500, it really does not matter, to be completely honest, to integrate. And in the residential space, I don't know what is going to be the bill. I didn't check last time what I was getting. In Canada, I'm probably getting much higher now.
Well, I think to that point though, right? Like it's going to continue to increase over the course of time, just like auto repair. I mean, just like all things. I would venture, and again, this is just my own personal experience and guess, but I would venture that it's easily in that range, if not higher, on an aggregated or average basis. So if it were me, I'd really be weighing out the pros and cons of that kind of process optimization and integration piece as compared to what details am I looking underneath. And really in this market, I think that comes down to what's the play. Am I trying to exit to private equity at some point? I might be more apt to go down a different path. If I'm a mom and pop SMB who, wants to build a lifestyle business, chances are I'm going to be going with so.
And you were trying to speak in between.
That's okay. That's okay. I was just going to say, first off, your comment about cost accounting and counting pennies, Dave, makes no sense to me because I'm a Canadian. We don't have pennies here.
Well, I'm all out of loony references, Andy. So,
Loonies and toonies. That's all we know, my friend. That's all we know. I'll tell you.
Timing, Andy. Go ahead, Andy.
What I was going to say is, I wish I would have learned more about this product 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I was talking to that is a landscaping service organization. What do you know? It would be perfect for these guys. And I'm gonna probably email them a copy of our session today because it's certainly worth them having a look.
Yep. Those are the right businesses.
That's a perfect fit.
You got a comment from Anders. You better speak up there, Sam.
Do you want to read, Andy?
Sure. CRM. These seem like industries where a large percentage of your B2C customers are not a repeat. That's absolute. That's the thing about B2C. You never know. I don't think anyone subscribes to a toilet replacement. Well,
they do. They do.
I think
that depends on your diet.
Well, I disagree with Anders on a little bit of this. So this is a super interesting space right now. These trade service businesses, the home services businesses, it's really getting shaken up by a lot of things, not just, a solution like this. So there's a lot of people, trialing these different types of subscriptions in this, whether that's from a preventative maintenance or whether it's to get to the top of the list. Who wants to wait in the dead of winter to get your furnace repaired? People are paying monthly maintenance just to be on the list. So it's super interesting what's happening in this space.
So an interesting origin for them. But the custom forms I can see having the value in nearby industries require upfront data collection, like or window film install. Completely correct, Anders. But I'm gonna finish off my comment is if anybody wants to have a really amazing laugh, have a look at Sam and my ping pong match on LinkedIn. It's classic.
On LinkedIn, and Andy is going to provide a link on this episode, so you can find probably on LinkedIn.
That's right.
Okay. Any other comments, guys? We are at 634 point right now.
No, this is great. Thank you so much, Sam.
Of course, guys. So that's it for today. If you joined for the first time, this was part of our Industries for which we meet at 2 p.m. Eastern. Note the time from the
just before Carol Burnett. Remember that.
Remember that. So make sure you guys dial in. We are moving it early because we want to make sure that you guys are able to watch. Typically at 5:30 Eastern, we had noticed that you need to pick their kids, etc. That's why we are trying to move it earlier.
Totally makes sense, Sam. Totally makes sense.
You all can watch. On that note, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I'll see you next week.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.